Are you ready for some real questions now?
I'm ready.
All right, let's start with, we're talking about worship, and I think it will only be fitting for me to ask you, who is your favorite worshiper in the Bible and why?
It would have to be David.
Okay.
I would definitely say David because David was always authentic. And he was always accountable. Every time David messed up, David said, oh yeah, I messed that up. I did. And if David was mad at somebody, he'd be like, Lord, kill him. Like David was very honest about his feelings with the Lord. And that's what God asks us to do. He wants us to be transparent with him. And David was able to do that. And he also was able to be honorable in the face of dishonor.
Yeah.
And that's a deep one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a real one.
Wow. And it says a lot about the heart in worship.
Yeah.
You know, so much so that even God acknowledges that.
Yeah.
David is a man after. So when you know, as you were talking, you have that heart. You know, I mean, God will pursue a heart of worship, and a heart of worship isn't always about saving. In fact, the heart of worship isn't about saving face.
No.
You know, when worship truly takes place, and I think that's what helps David in his vulnerable moments, just to accept it. I didn't know you would choose him. That was really good. It was good that you chose him. I didn't know. I thought you probably would have went with something a little girly, like you know, like the alabaster box, or Mary sitting at his feet while Martha's serving and stuff like that. But you went to what I would have to agree is one of the perfect examples of a heart of worship. Because see, in the New Testament, Mary and Martha, they talked in the day when Jesus was present and so forth.
Yes.
In David's day, Jesus wasn't present. And he was working this worship thing out. That's awesome.
And then David also showed that worship was not just in the tabernacle. David lived a life of worship. Everything he did was a life of worship. And it was proven when he could have killed Saul. Saul was trying to kill him. He had an opportunity to kill Saul, and I mean kill him dead. He had an opportunity, and rightfully so. Saul was trying to kill him and chasing him in caves and all that stuff. But David loved God enough to honor the man that God chose. And that's a life of worship. That we love God enough that we love his people, even though they're hurting us. Even though they're saying what they're saying. Even though they are literally like coming after us. But we love God enough to love them. That's a life of worship. Yeah.
Before we go to this next question, because this is so powerful, you touched on it too, and I think we probably need to go deeper on it. You said that David did not restrict his worship to a temple, but to appreciate that, David sometimes said, you know, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord, meaning I'm looking forward to it because it's been a while. Yeah, I've been out here in this wilderness, and so when they said, let's go into the house of the Lord, I was glad. I've been wanting to do this, right? Side note real quick. You know, if we have 50 million services during a week, and we get up and we say, you know, hey, I was glad when they said unto me, you just pulling somebody's leg. Yeah. You can't be that glad with 50 million services a week. You know, you have to have time to want to be in this presence, and you can't want to be in this presence if you don't have a break from church, right? So anyway, side note. But David showed that even when you alienate him from the tabernacle, in the meantime, I'm going to worship God in any wilderness I'm in. I'm still looking forward to getting to the church. But I ain't going to let you bind me and make me think that my praise and worship have to be on hold until I get there. And now, David,